Hello there. It's me MD, with you here, on SaskiYano. And here we are again with a new After Effects tutorial. Today if you are interested to know how to add some animation in Adobe After Effects, this is the best place to be. So stay tuned. Now. Now, if you want to follow along with me. In this tutorial, I am working with the After Effects project file. UFO, Part 3 project. You will find this project file with the media associated with this tutorial. You can download it from the link down below in the description box. After downloading the project file, just double-click on it to open it in After Effects. Now that our background has a new moon, it's time to add the UFO to this scene. This UFO was created and animated in Cinema 4D, a version of which comes bundled with After Effects. This was pre-animated, a basic flight through the scene, from up left and close to down right, and far away, with the resulting perspective shift. But even as it was animated in Cinema 4D, I knew I would be tweaking the results by further animating the layer within After Effects. You'll notice if you look at the timeline that the UFO clip is shorter, at 10 seconds, than the background clip, which is 15 seconds long. This is fine, since I don't want the UFO to appear until the 5-second mark anyway, and then play out to the end. If you click on the layer bar and hold the Shift key down as you drag the clip to the right, it'll snap to the end of the comp. After Effects has a few different ways to animate things, but the most common way is with keyframes. Let's say I want the first frame of the UFO movie to start off screen left. And at the end, I wanted to end up just to the right of the Chrysler building. Well, on the first frame of the UFO clip, which we can snap to by moving the time indicator with the Shift key down, we'll drag the element in the comp window until the UFO disappears off stage left. Now we twirl open the transform properties and click on the stopwatch next to the position property. This enables animation for the position property, as well as setting a keyframe, which you can see here. Now we move to the last frame and drag the UFO clip over until the ship is to the right of the Chrysler building. The position values for the layer have now changed, and this automatically sets another position keyframe. After Effects will smoothly interpolate between these two keyframes to create the animation. By the way, there's no need to click the stopwatch again. In fact, if you did, you would turn off animation for the layer. So you don't want to do that here. Now the positional values that you see in the timeline, and represented visually as this Bezier path in the comp window, are relative to the center of the UFO layer by default. So don't let that confuse you. But they don't appear to be attached to the UFO itself. I'll zoom out with my mouse wheel and show you that since this was pre-rendered the UFO movie in Cinema 4D for you, After Effects sees the whole movie as one big rectangular object, even though most of it is transparent. And After Effects always sets the anchor point of a layer in the center by default. Well, if you scrub to the middle of the timeline, you can see that the UFO is close to passing in front of the moon. So if you just drag the layer down, you can see that a new keyframe is created. And Bezier handles have appeared. That'll let you further tweak the shape of the path if you like. Almost everything in After Effects can be animated with keyframes, including effects. If you zoom out to see where you are so far, you'll see that the shape's motion is great now. But its color is not convincing for this scene. That's because in the real world, when an object is far away, the colors become low contrast and muted by haze in the atmosphere. Look at the background video. And note that the darkest shadows in the city are really medium gray. And the shadows in the trees in the nearer foreground are much darker. To make this look more convincing, we need to correct the color of the UFO so that the shadows look better, an animated shadow color as the ship appears into the distance. A super simple tool for doing this is the Tint Filter. Tint maps the lightest and the darkest portions of an image to colors of your choosing. If you go to where the UFO first appears and apply tint, notice that the image goes black and white, and then the Effects Control panel. You'll see that the default colors are in fact black and white. But if you click the eyedropper for the black value and choose something from the shadows down left in our image, and then with the highlights, click the ship and choose a pale color such as yellow, you'll see that the ship now looks more like it belongs in the scene. You can further tweak the effect with the amount to tint slider, which fades the color effect. Click on the stopwatches for both color ships to enable animation. Then move closer to the end of the timeline. Use the eyedroppers to sample elements from the distance this time. And now see how the ship appears to fit into the background much more convincingly. Remember that keyframes will be set for you automatically once you click the stopwatches. And we're almost done with this segment. To add a little depth, let's add the foreground element for the ship to pass behind. In this case, I have a light post photo that I separated from its background in Photoshop. Drag that into the scene, making sure the layer starts at frame 0. And then drag it into position on the left side of the comp, in front of the other elements in the scene. Now we need to blur that a bit to give it the proper depth of field. Now to the closer elements such as these trees are blurrier than the distant objects. So the light pole will need to be even blurrier to look real. In the Effects and Presets panel, search for Camera Lens Blur, which will produce our most realistic results, and apply it to our lamp post. A blur radius value of about 20 looks good, and a quick adjustment with the Rotate tool will make the post look straight relative to the scene. Let's preview our work so far. This is a 4K comp, so depending on your computer, you may or may not have room to cache all of these frames in RAM. If you encounter any issues, you can always reduce the resolution of the comp preview using the pop-up in the comp window here. The lower the resolution, the more frames you can fit into RAM. And now here we go, we are done for today. Do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave your comment down below in the comments section. See you next time in a new tutorial. And if you want to learn more about After Effects, take a look here on the channel, we have a lot of tutorials. And if you are interested about Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, InDesign, take a look to our first channel, Everything PS. You will find its link down below in the description box. Goodbye.